This is a TalkStation original podcast.
When the election was over and Mamdani had won and was the new mayor-elect of New York City, I don't know that I was surprised. I think that I saw that coming. I could say that I was surprised because, the memories of the Twin Towers in 2001, they're still very fresh. Mm-hmm. And was there an Islamic aspect to what happened that day? Yes, there was. And I think, wow, the people of New York are ready to elect a Muslim for their mayor. But I'm not sure that him being a Muslim was that much of a factor in it. I think that what happened was people, especially the younger people, they were just tired of all the people that have been running New York. And they're like, well, here's somebody with new ideas. Let's listen to what he says. I don't know that it was so much them making a statement against Christianity or making a statement for Islam as it was a statement for change. Now, if anything bothers me about him being elected, it's that he is a socialist. And he's got these ideas. Well, we're going to have, we're going to have rent control. We're going to have free bus transportation. All this. I'm like, well, where's the money going to come from for that? And then I look at him and I say, so many people have run for mayor of New York with promises of, I'm going to fix everything, and then they come in and they find out that they can't. And then they get voted out of office until the next person is elected who is, quote, going to fix things. And I wonder if we're going to see the same thing happen again.
I think there's great truth to that, and I think we will. It's not so much that a Muslim was elected. The irony, I guess you could say, like you mentioned with September 11th, never forget, and one of the memes that came up the next day said, looks like they forgot. But I think the greatest thing is, especially in light of this particular election being held in the middle of a government shutdown, that big government is not your friend and da-da-da-da-da, all those things. The irony of voting for government-run grocery stores in the middle of a government shutdown. I think that spoke a bigger thing. And I'm not sure that I'm not saying the voters were intellectually inept or anything like that. I don't think anyone really did the research of what all of these programs are going to cost.
No.
And now you can already see the day after the election, he started changing his tune. And how many businesses and major kind of big money people have already made the pledge that they're leaving the city.
Right.
Well, you pull out some of these huge companies that pay a lot of people and provide a lot of stuff, and there's no longer a tax on those companies. Where does the money come from?
Oh, but we're going to raise the taxes on all the rich people because they're evil.
Yeah.
That seems to be the mantra of what we're hearing. And I understand, and I read this, and I said, I'm not just going to believe this because I read it. I'm going to investigate and look into this. And what I read was that Mamdani, on his website, where he'd been asking for donations to get elected, he was now saying, well, now that we have won, all of this is going to cost a lot of money, so please continue to send your money to make this happen. And I thought, really? So I looked at the website. Lo and behold, that's exactly what's happening now.
Yeah, it was not only the election. Now you need to help pay for the transition. And once the transition is paid, you need to help with all these things. And having been to New York a couple of times in the boroughs to see my wife's family, it is not a bustling. It's bustling, but it's not overflowing with people who have endless amounts of money. No. So many of the people in the boroughs are just trying to buy the groceries and trying to keep the lights on. And yes, it sounds great to have government city-run buses and all these things. But again, I think the greater issue is not so much religion. it's being a socialist. And socialism does not work in a republic. And if you want to see socialism at its highest, go visit Haiti, go visit Cuba. I've been to both places, and the wealth distribution does not work. It sounds good, and it makes for a nice campaign ad, but the reality is it just doesn't work.
So let's talk about the elephant in the room, that New York City has elected a Muslim mayor. And Dearborn, Michigan elected a Muslim mayor. Several Muslims were elected to public office. What factor, if any, does that have on what's happened? The fact that they're Muslim. There was a recent survey that came out from Pew Research that said that, in 1990, 90% of Americans said they were Christian. Right now it's 62%. It's dropped quite a bit. And they are estimating that in 2070, it's going to be 46% of Americans are going to identify as Christians. And for the first time, that's not going to be the majority of Americans. And right now, Islam currently has about 4 million people in the country. Christianity has 200 million, so they're not even close. Yet, Islam is growing by about 100,000 a year, and Christianity is dropping by about 2 million people. And this comes from Pew Research. So, do these elections and Muslims being elected, does this speak to what these numbers are saying?
Well, I think it does. And as we've talked with religion and politics before, is I hope that people make their decisions and lead with a moral code as opposed to just slapping a label on themselves and doing it. If you're going to say you're a Christian, live like a Christian, act like a Christian.